I see philosophy as a battle between hard and soft. And I'm not talking about porn here. I'm talking about the ability to see existence as waves. You know, waves rather than shapes. And here's an example. When you try to find the ultimate truth, the limit that language imposes on you is a limit of shapes. So you have the shape, for example, like this. This represents good. And this represents evil. And you see these shapes straight in your mind. And events, actions, what you see, you interpret according to these two shapes. And some actions correspond to this one, others to this one. They're absolute shapes. But then the soft philosophy is to see actions like this, waves. They go one way, another. A continuous flow that doesn't stop. And here, you focus on this part, right here. It goes up and shifts to the left. So, you say this is good. You take the ideal form, the hard form, and you interpret reality according to it. And that is your limit of language. What you see here, you can only relate by giving it a form that already existed beforehand. Therefore, it can never be 100% accurate. But you say this is a good action, this is a bad action. And that's the only way you can describe it to someone else. But then someone can come and tell you, well, no, it's not necessarily good because here, instead of being straight up, it kind of turned like that. But then it didn't have a sharp angle here. It kind of moved in like this a little bit. And then what's even worse is that, you know, when it goes on, all of a sudden, it can turn to the other side. And whoops, you focus on something else. And you say something is evil. That's something that is fundamentally artificial. It is counterintuitive. It's not human. And you see this in a form of bureaucracy, where everything has to be predetermined instead of being analyzed for what it is. And that's why all the words in every language that we have give us the same restriction. We are trained to see shapes. And everything that we see, everything that we hear or smell, we insert it in one of these shapes and separate them. So when we see, we have a tree, and we have the branches, we have the roots and the leaves. Each of them are specific things that in our mind we have all these little shapes that we've learned, and when we receive the information, we put what we see in one of these shapes and we cut off what we don't understand, what we haven't been trained to understand. But in reality, the tree we see, it's all a continuous flow of movement. It's a flow of energy, and there is no place specifically where you could say that the tree ends and the soil begins, because it's all flowing like that. You cannot separate it and say Here's the tree, here's the soil. There's nothing in between. That's this perfect separation. It doesn't exist. All existence is waves, not shapes. And that's why syllogisms and all the foundation of our philosophy for hundreds of years, everything that has shaped our way of thinking, is wrong. Because we see shapes instead of waves. Something is either good or evil. Someone is either healthy or sick. You have good people and bad people. You have the victim and the criminal. You have the rich and the poor. But all these dualities are false because they give hard shapes to a soft substance that does not fit into these shapes. And so we have trained ourselves to think not as humans, but as machines, as artificial beings. And, well, it's a shame, but whatever. Who gives a shit? Let's just drink some beer and we'll all be over with. Okay, whatever.